Mr. Speaker, just to underline the chaos we're faced with here, the finance minister resigned the day she was to present the fall budget, which was going to contain a massive deficit overrun. The job then went automatically to the industry minister, who immediately resigned, like on the spot, which then went down the line, and the next person in order was...
Hey everybody, this is Marcel, the Canadian journalist, formerly Ernie Racing News. What is it, December 16th, 2024. I've taken a little break from the news, but obviously I got to come back and cover this story. Finance, Christia Freeland has finally resigned, and the whole Liberal cabinet is falling down, and Jagmeet Singh is just holding him up still, waiting for his gold watch pension. What is that coming up here in a few months? He's got to hang on and keep the Liberals in power so he can stay in power himself. Let's watch and let's talk about it.
Famous two Randys, and they're not available to do the job either. We're now less than 2 hours away from the fall economic update. Why won't the Prime Minister have the courage to come in here, present it himself, and put it for a confidence vote tonight?
So here's Andrew Scheer from the Conservatives. Freeland resigns as finance minister. Even she has lost confidence in Trudeau. Well, she's just one and the same. It's not about confidence in Trudeau. It's just confidence about her keeping her own job and her own position, because she's going to move on. She already works for the World Economic Forum. She already has a cush job for the rest. Just they always fail upwards. So let's read her little letter from today, the 16th. The Right Honourable Justin Trudeau. Dear Prime Minister, it has been the honour of my life to serve in government, working for Canada and Canadians. We have accomplished a lot together. They've certainly destroyed Canada together. On Friday, you told me you no longer want me to serve as your finance minister and offered me another position in the cabinet. Upon reflection, I have concluded that the only honest and viable path is for me to resign from the cabinet. To be effective, a minister must speak on behalf of the Prime Minister and with his full confidence. In making your decision, you made clear that I no longer credibly enjoy that confidence and possess the authority that comes with it. For the past number of weeks, you and I have found ourselves at odds about the best path forward for Canada. Our country today faces a grave challenge. The incoming administration in the United States is pursuing a policy of aggressive economic nationalism, including a threat of 25% tariffs. Good job. Yes, thank you, Trump. We need to take that threat extremely serious. That means keeping our fiscal powder dry today so we have the reserve we may need for a coming tariff war. She's talking about how she's always like sniffing. That means eschewing costly political gimmicks, which we can ill afford and which make Canadians doubt that we recognize the gravity of the moment. That means pushing back against, quote, America first economic nationalism with a determined effort to fight the capitalism and investment and jobs they bring. That means working in good faith and humility with the premiers of the provinces and territories of our great and diverse country and building a true Team Canada response. I know Canadians would recognize and respect such an approach. They know when we are working for them, and they equally know when we are focused on ourselves. Inevitably, our time in government will come to an end, but how we deal with the threat our country currently faces will define us for a generation, and perhaps longer. Canada will win if we are strong, smart, and united. It is this conviction which has driven my strenuous effort this fall to manage our spending in ways that will give us the flexibility we will need to meet the serious challenges presented by the United States. I will always be grateful for the chance to have served in government and will always be proud of our government's work for Canada Canadians. I look forward to continuing to work with my colleagues as a Liberal Member of Parliament, and I am committed to running again for my seat in Toronto in the next federal election. With gratitude, the Honourable Christia Freeland. Freeland!
Minister Freeland discussed or mentioned the shared priorities that the two governments have. I'm wondering, would you describe a carbon tax exemption on natural gas for Manitoba as one of your priorities?
I think our priority today is to share the news with Manitobans.
Yeah, she cannot stand still. She's got the twitch going.
Your federal government, your provincial government are
the Freeland twitch.
Working together to put people to work. I think Manitoba...
Well, let's take a look at X's people's memes. When asked if she will be delivering Canada's fall economic statement despite her resignation as finance minister, Christia Freeland said, "That's Trudeau's problem. This government is collapsing." Somebody reports here from Canada, proud. Christia Freeland slams Trudeau in her cabinet resignation letter, suggesting his government is focusing on, quote, costly political gimmicks, which we can ill afford, end quote, and not, quote, working in good faith, end quote, to stop Trump's 25% tariff threats. The face you make when your power and everything else is shrinking. And Momsy says, time for the final vote of non-confidence. Let the Liberals vote him out themselves. Get on with it, MPs. Make this happen before this loose cannon of a PM blows this country apart. Trudeau is incapable of listening to advice. So egotistical, he'll throw anyone under the bus. From Calgary Guy, and yet only his party can bring this disaster to end. Meat, he's talking about yeg meat, won't do it. Hopefully these last 9 years shows you that Canada needs to be reformed. We can't let one person have so much power in this country, even if it's a conservative. Senate reform, stronger individual rights, better constitution, less power over SCOC, more provincial autonomy, more independent police. Please don't fail us in the long term. A better short-term government isn't the answer. We need government reform. There's the feminist coming out of Trudeau. This is a great one. I should screenshot it. Conservative veteran says Trudeau throws another lady under the bus. From unacceptable Canadian, laugh out loud. After 9 years, this one letter says more than she has ever said over that time. How pathetic. Even in her letter of resignation, she lies. She thinks she did good things for Canada. I think she's just trying to do damage control. Yep. Ian Pfeiffer says, don't worry, Yeg Meat Singh still has confidence in this government. I wonder if he realizes how ridiculous his support looks now. Good one. Johnny says, oh look, another woman our feminist prime minister puts out of work. Whose job will be filled by a man? Carney. Yeah, Carney. Warren says, when you're 45 years old and you need your mom and dad to co-sign your mortgage because you can't buy a house within your means, you probably shouldn't be Minister of Finance anywhere. Patrick replies to Christie's resignation letter, I had to fact check because when I read it, I thought it was parody. Then I saw it was posted by Andrew Scheer, so it must be real. Why did I Google it? Because I could not understand that our former Minister of Finance writes like a high school student. No disrespect. All right, let's move on to other news. Okay, so Liz says, good riddance. Canada's WEF tyrant Christia Freeland resigns from Justin Trudeau's cabinet.
Mr. Speaker, why don't we talk about some really terrible advice that was offered to Canadians in the spring by the Conservative leader? He urged Canadians to invest in crypto as a way to opt out of inflation. Now, Bitcoin has crashed by 21% over the past week and by more than 65% since the Conservative leader first gave Canadians that reckless advice. The Conservatives should apologize today for this reckless policy.
Ouch. Oh, man. Ouch. Bitcoin's over 100,000 US. Ouch.
And admit that investing in crypto would have bankrupted Canadians.
Oh man, we all needed a whole bunch of Bitcoin. All right, here we are at my Kitco. Gold is at 2,653 US, which is just ridiculous when the exchange rate is so ridiculous. 1.4248. Like, it's one of the worst exchanges we've had in the last 10 years. Oh, it's so terrible. There's only one time it was a little worse. I mean, 42, and then the bank will take another 2-3%. Actually, some of them are trying to get 4%. You're gonna have a 45%. You know, you need a $1.45 for every dollar. It's so ridiculous. And gold is, which means gold is at 37.80 Canadian. And Bitcoin is $105,753 US dollars. I couldn't even imagine what that's Canadian. That's going to be 150 some thousand Canadian per Bitcoin. Oh, crazy.
Vaccine mandates work. There are people in the country who just, haven't gotten around to getting vaccinated. Maybe they have some worry.
What we're seeing is the government of Canada itself is spiraling out of control right before our eyes and at the very worst time. Today, mere hours before Trudeau's finance minister was to deliver a fall economic update that was expected to smash through her already massive deficit targets, she announced she no longer has confidence in the Prime Minister. Canadians were already anxious about the reckless $40 billion deficit the government had announced last spring, but today, in mere hours, they were expected to learn that it was much higher than that, threatening our social programs and our fiscal stability right in the middle of a potential trade war. The Prime Minister, with the help and instigation of carbon tax Carney, pushed Ms. Freeland to bring on massive, unsustainable, irresponsible spending increase.
Carbon tax Carney, and he's the one that's going to be replacing the leader of the Liberals here, or somebody.
That blew through her self-imposed guardrail. He thought that he would simply push her through that guardrail and off the cliff so that she, and not he and Mr. Carney, would take the blame for the crisis that he and they caused. To continue the chaos, think of this. The moment the finance minister resigned, the government's published order of precedent meant that François-Philippe Champagne instantaneously became the finance minister. But now, he tells us he doesn't have the job and doesn't want the job. So it goes to the next minister who's on the published order of precedent, and that is Randy Boissonnault, more commonly known as the two Randys, the gentleman who had to resign because he falsely claimed he was Indigenous, falsely claimed that there were more than one Randy when it was all him and all in his head. And he is now technically our finance minister as we speak. We don't know for sure, though, if he'll still be finance minister in 3.5 hours when the scheduled fall economic update is expected to land. That update, by the way, is currently covered by a black blanket underneath a table. No one is allowed to look at it, even though journalists and parliamentarians showed up to read it in briefing rooms to this day, earlier today. So here we are. Everything is spiraling out of control.
Okay, guys. Well, I think I'm going to leave it at that. Here you have Christia Freeland, maybe a foreign agent. Well, she's certainly the WEF whore. This person posted, Germany's foreign agent Christia Freeland abruptly resigns as finance minister and deputy prime minister. Resignation coincides with the NCIO sending PC and NDP leaders an email providing evidence that Freeland is using her office to steal billions for the Ukraine government and pensioners. And look who just sends me a message. Romeo from Romania. He is alive. Your troubles are not with Trudeau now. Your troubles are with the United States of America. Big troubles, he says. Romeo, thou art Romeo.
Canada's finance minister quit on Monday, dealing another major political blow to Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's.
Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Make sure you share this with your friends. Let's get Canadian journalists into the YouTube censorship algorithm. Cheers.